12-year-old Mira lived on XR-42, a small trading planet at the edge of known space where human settlers and alien travelers cross paths daily. Her father ran a repair shop for passing merchant transports and ships, and Mira, who spent most days helping him, loved to wander the main trading strip. This dusty marketplace had seen all types of creatures, but that evening, Mira noticed a group of towering, armored beings she'd never seen before. They were Dra'sari, an elite alien warrior race known for their combat skills and intense loyalty to their clans. The Dra'sari were rumored to be at war with the Venic, another powerful alien race. Mira overheard the locals whispering that these Dra'sari soldiers were headed to battle. But from where she stood, they looked worn and weary, their armor dull and their faces drawn with exhaustion. As Mira watched, she noticed the soldiers were eyeing the food stalls. She could tell they were hungry, but the alien food vendors' prices were high, and the soldiers, it seemed, were traveling light. Mira had saved up a few credits from working in her dad's shop, and an idea struck her. She hesitated. After all, what could a human kid offer to a group of warriors? But there was something in their tired expressions that tugged at her heart. They were just people in a way like anyone else. So she took a deep breath, approached the food stall, and bought a generous tray of rations. Without thinking too much, she stepped up to the Dra'sari soldiers, who looked at her with suspicion and surprise. "Here," Mira said, holding out the tray. "I thought, well, maybe you could use some food." The Dra'sari soldiers stared at her, stunned. Their officer, a tall figure with elaborate chest armor, leaned down, examining her face as if trying to understand her motives. "Why would you do this, human child?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. Mira shifted her feet, feeling suddenly shy. "You looked hungry. And everyone deserves to eat, right?" The officer held her gaze, then took the tray with a respectful nod. "Thank you," he said, his tone softer than she'd expected. As Mira slipped back into the crowd, she felt both exhilarated and relieved. She hadn't done much, really, but maybe it would make a small difference. She watched from a distance as the Dra'sari ate, exchanging words with one another in their low, melodic language. A few of them even smiled, a rare sight for their kind. The next morning, Mira was woken by strange lights in the sky. She ran outside to see two massive fleets hovering in orbit above XR-42. Onlookers whispered in fear. The Dra'sari and the Venic fleets had arrived at the same time, each poised for battle. The entire trading settlement was on edge, knowing they were caught between two alien warships. Mira's dad pulled her inside, warning her to stay away from the windows. But moments later, a surprising message crackled over the public communications network. On the screen appeared the Dra'sari officer Mira had helped. His face was tense but held an odd calm. "To the people of XR-42, he began, his voice echoing across the settlement. "We have come to negotiate with our rivals, the Venic, in this system. Last night, one among you, a human child, showed my soldiers an unexpected kindness. She fed us, asking nothing in return, reminding us that not all actions are driven by gain or power." He paused, his eyes thoughtful. "It is in her honor that we Dra'sari will not draw weapons today. Instead, we will seek understanding." The crowd gasped, and a murmur spread as the message ended. Then another signal came through, a transmission from the Venic commander, who had heard the Dra'sari officer's message. On this day, the Venic commander's voice boomed, "We too will lay down our arms. May this ceasefire be a testament to the power of goodwill." People on XR-42 cheered in relief and disbelief. Mira watched in awe, hardly able to believe what she was hearing. Her small act of kindness had stopped a battle. Later that day, the Dra'sari officer himself came to visit Mira at her father's shop. His expression was softer than before, his eyes kind as he knelt to her level and placed a small, intricately designed medal in her hands. "This," he said, "is our clan's emblem. May it remind you of the strength in small acts. And may it remind us that even a gesture as small as sharing food can ripple across the stars." Mira thanked him, holding the medal carefully. The officer left, and as Mira gazed at the emblem, she felt a sense of pride she'd never known. She hadn't just made a friend in the Dra'sari. She'd changed something big, something that would ripple across worlds. And as she watched the Dra'sari fleet peacefully retreating into the distant stars, Mira knew her life would never be the same.